Hey again, my name's Matt, and I'm the creator of an upcoming game for the NES called Echoes of the Unread. I wanted to share with you how the story and characters of the game came to be over the course of its development. There's some light spoilers in this video, so if you want to go into the game with zero knowledge of the story, you may want to come back to this at a later point. There are quite a few quirky characters you meet in Echoes of the Unread. Each one has their own voice, their own personality. The first one you meet is the janitor. He lets you know the library is locked and always seems one step behind Rhapsody. I added him in initially as a tutorial character and later expanded his role. Then there's Kanto, the cowboy. He's a little hot-headed and ready for a fight. Maybe let him cool off a bit and talk with him later. Serenade, the mermaid, would love to strike up a conversation, but talking underwater might prove difficult at first. I included her as a bit of a nod to the coffee run game I made earlier. In the horror genre, there's a friendly vampire Nocturne and his little dog Fang. Of course, Fang keeps running off, so you'll have to give Nocturne a hand. They were added as a joke for someone playtesting the game, and I liked them so much I kept them in. Then there's a number of characters that you'll meet in the romance area. I was stuck on this genre for a while. My original thought was to have Rhapsody solve clues to a mysterious letter that one of the characters received. But it didn't fit well into the overall story, and everyone who's familiar with romance novels knows there must be a breakup at some point. So I went that direction instead. Plus, it meant I could change the weather to match the emotion of the situation. In another area, you'll find the librarian Mavis. She doesn't teach typing, but can help Rhapsody out on her journey. As I mentioned in an earlier video, the names are all related to music. That idea changed over time, but the names stuck around. And finally, there's Odell, the kid magician who shows up from time to time. She's a bit annoyed at being stuck on a library shelf for so long. Speaking of Odell, I struggled quite a bit during development to figure out the antagonist of the story. If you've watched the other videos, you'll know that everything in Echoes of the Unread went through many iterations. The story for the game is no exception. Around the time of the COVID-19 lockdown, I decided to dust off this project and give it another go. I knew it was going to be about a girl in a library, but beyond that, I didn't really have a direction for the story. Being isolated and working from home at the time made me realize that the main character might be faced with the same struggle. And that's about all I had for a while. The idea that Rhapsody was trapped and wanted to go home. Early on, I'd planned a second character, Dorian, who would show up from time to time in need of assistance. I thought it might be funny to have a character who got himself into trouble and needed Rhapsody's help getting out of it. He was going to be reckless, and she would come in and save the day. But ultimately, I needed an antagonist, and Dorian didn't make it out of the idea phase. It was at this point I considered Rhapsody having some kind of inner struggle. Maybe she needed to face her fears before leaving the library. I worked on a dream sequence with her and her mom, and thought that the antagonist could be some kind of shadow self. But that ended up being more confusing than interesting, so I needed a different idea. Then it dawned on me, what if the antagonist and Rhapsody had the same goal? To escape the library. And this is how I started to slowly create the character Odell. I was stuck on who Odell was for months. My first thought was some ghostly, shadowy figure that floated around and would show up in different locations. However, it made the game feel more creepy than I wanted it to be. Also, loading in a unique character in every genre proved difficult with the NES's memory limitations. So instead, I thought I could have messages show up on the library walls from time to time, and then cut to a separate dreamlike space where the antagonist would be. Okay, still a bit creepy, but I really liked the concept of echoes as you explored the game. It's how I ended up with the name. I'd settled on this character being stuck in the back of the library and wanting to leave. But I didn't really have a setting for the book that they were from, and I kept getting stuck on trying to make it dreamlike. At some point, I ended up coming across a tile set for a factory and realized the girders looked a lot like stage trusses. Oh, the final area could be a theatrical stage. And there could be a play with a whole cast of characters and... Wait, who's the antagonist then? Not to mention, I'd have to make a lot of characters, and my scope was already much larger than I'd started, so, a stage magician? That would work. Within a few hours, I had Odell drawn in A Sprite, and finally, the game had a fitting antagonist. It was still almost a year of development of finalizing the story and completing 3 distinct endings to the game, though. And as many developers know, converting the ideas to reality is the real challenge. Especially since I was working on this as a solo project, I had to find ways to keep motivated. As you've heard me say again and again, I didn't have a clear goal in mind from the start of the project. That's okay when you're in the prototyping stage, but at some point you need to choose a direction and stick with it. It doesn't mean you won't veer off course from time to time, but having a general trajectory goes a long way to keeping yourself motivated. And the best way to finish a book is to keep reading 1 page at a time. But game development requires a lot of different disciplines. Art, coding, music, level design, a narrative. Trying to keep it all in your head just doesn't work. At least for me. Most of the time I would forget an idea I had within a day or two. Or worse, I wouldn't have anything on my to-do list, which completely demotivated me from doing anything on the project. The best thing I learned during the course of developing Echoes of the Unread was to unload the thoughts from my brain as soon as I could. I surrounded myself with mountains of post-it notes, and later transferred the ideas and bugs I'd found to an issue tracker, which is what I used for project management. Getting the ideas out of your head is crucial. On the days I didn't know what to work on, I could consult my to-do list and pick something I wanted to work on from there. This might sound obvious to you, but it was a game changer for me, and I wouldn't have finished the game without it. I was the only one working on the project, so by doing this I could plan out a week in advance to know what I wanted to accomplish. Things don't always work out the way you plan, but be kind to yourself. As long as you make small bits of progress, you'll eventually cross the finish line. I just want to take a moment to express my gratitude to everyone who's played the demo and been involved with the game up to this point, especially if you took the time to watch this entire video series. Echoes of the Unread is this silly game I worked on for years and realized I wanted to share it with everyone. The finished game is something I'm immensely proud of, and hope you enjoy the game as much as I enjoyed making it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your feedback and support are what have kept me going. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Now, if you don't mind, I really need to find a way out of this library.